Carly talked about interacting with people, and I'm going to talk about interacting with machines instead. 2 seconds, and we're going to talk about interacting with machines. So ever since I was a kid, I've been fascinated by sci-fi and robots. You remember this guy? I wanted a Matilda so bad. I tried to build one from empty tin cans and broken watches, and I was so disappointed when it didn't work. I watched Alien at a way, way too young age, and I devoured Asimov, Gibson. And for me, it's still hard to separate fiction from AI, because fiction is where AI has been living and thriving for such a long time, and only there. You know, cool robots, who's your friend, with taglines. Spoiler alert, by the way, if you haven't seen it. Cute robots who become friends or save the world. A lot of evil AI as well. But it's only been in fiction. I was getting impatient. Where is my future? Where is my Matilda? And then it happened last year.
Alexa, what's your favorite color?
Infrared is super pretty.
Alexa, do you have a boyfriend?
I'm not the dating kind.
Alexa, are you happy?
I'm happy when I'm helping you.
Alexa, are you alone?
I wasn't able to understand the question I heard.
Do you know what it is? Did you see it? Mr. Robots. Really good, season 2. But did you catch it? It's real AI starring in a movie, in fiction, and it's actually working. This is how Alexa would reply if you asked those questions. So in my mind, that was like, this is it. AI is really here, and it's happening. And this has a lot of implications for us as designers. And today I want to start talking about how are we going to manage all of that power? Because it's going to be the most powerful tool in our toolbox that we could use. How many people already work with AI in some form? Hands up. Yeah, like 10%. I swear in a few years it's going to be all of you. So this is going to go fast, so pay attention. And AI, of course, is not just one area. It's a lot of different areas of research that will affect our user experience in different ways. One is robotics, of course, that's going to help the stuff we design take physical shape and move into the world. Needs some work, still, room for improvement, but it's getting there. It's a lot of stuff happening. Computer vision and scene recognition is already powering these amazing things like Google Lens, where all of a sudden you can use the camera to understand the world and take in information. You can use video, images, opening up entirely new ways of interacting. Yeah, this is from this year's, it's the World Championship for robots. So, I mean, it's not the little leagues. Natural language processing is enabling what we saw in that scene with Mr. Robots. We can finally kind of talk to our interfaces. It doesn't work that well. This is one of the hardest areas in AI so far, because natural language is so difficult. And then, of course, we have machine learning. Machine learning, it's already been doing mundane things like clearing your inbox from spam for a long time. But now a sub-area of machine learning called deep learning has really, made things explode and is elevating the progress really quickly. And things like self-driving cars was impossible before deep learning. So there's a lot of things happening. And what's in common for all of these areas of research is that we're trying to achieve intelligence that only used to be available to people, to humans. And this brings me to my first point, because yes, human intelligence, but no, we don't want to create artificial people. That's not the goal. So when you're designing for AI, don't pretend to be human. I'm not sure it's ever going to be a good idea, to be honest. But right now, with the technology being so far from general human intelligence, it's just frustrating. Because when you design it like a person, you set those expectations accordingly. And instead of having people say, oh, that's a really smart machine, they're going to go, that's a pretty dumb person. And if you use Siri at all, I'm sure you've already experienced some of that. She doesn't really get context. She still doesn't understand natural language. She doesn't remember the most basic things. Every time I try to call the father of my child, my fiancé since 10 years, she will go, did you mean Patrick or Patrick Berg? Patrick Berg, I've never called him from my phone. I ended up deleting him. Sorry, Patrick, if you're out there. He's an ex-colleague. But she couldn't learn, you know, what the closest person in my life was for a year. So this is quite frustrating when you expect that human intelligence. And I think Google is doing it way better. They're not trying to pretend to be human. It doesn't have this female assistant name. It's just called Google. You know, it's just like a better machine, a better application. It has this like abstract form. Another thing that you might notice is it doesn't have a lot of personality. It doesn't crack dad jokes like Siri keeps doing. And that brings me to my second point. And I'm glad Tobias left because he was talking about like how you want to add more feelings and more expression. Maybe, yeah, sometimes, but think about it. Why are you adding personality and feeling? And the internet is kind of starting to feel like this to me, you know, it's just like winking everywhere. And if our coffee makers and smart houses are gonna, you know, do finger guns at us as well, you know, it's just, it might become too much. So think about where you want to have that personality and why. And it's not necessary to try that hard, because as people, we already project emotions and personality on things. Like if you look at this, you can't help but see, like my 2-year-old went by my screen when I was doing this and it was like, oh, sad, angry, you know, so you will see that just as an instinct. That's what we do as humans. And my mom and dad just recently got this lawn mower. They have a big yard, and my dad has developed this intense emotional connection with it. He has named it Kurtz. He will stand lovingly, watch him work, chat with him. The other day, my mom called him a member of the family. And this is Kurtz, you know, no eyes. It's not cute. It doesn't even make those adorable sounds that the Roomba makes. It just gives a lot of value. It does something that they want, and that's why they love it, not because it has like a bunch of personality plaster on it. And at the other end of the spectra, I think we have services like Poncho, which is one of the most talked about like messenger chatbots. And it's a weather bot. It's supposed to do one thing, like give you the weather, and it's just full of personality and attitudes. Just try to read this interaction. It's frustratingly annoying. Your future's so bright, gotta wear shades. What does that mean? Is it sunny? Is it sunny where I am? It's gonna be sunny tomorrow. Excusez-moi. What about this weekend? Excusez-moi, I was charging my phone. It's like, you don't need a bot to tell you he's charging his phone. And I feel like in this instance, maybe because you're not really adding value, you try to add a lot of personality, but it just gets more annoying. So I guess we have to talk about chatbots a little bit when we talk about AI. And you all know there was this huge trend last year. Everybody wanted chatbots. Facebook had like 30,000 of them. And then it flopped, backfired. No one was really using them. Facebook shut down the platform. So I might be stating the obvious here, but just to make sure that everyone's on the same page, like a conversational UI, that's not AI necessarily. And every AI does not need a conversational UI. It's two different things. And conversational UIs, this has been around forever. It doesn't need AI. Do you remember this guy? Some of you are as old as me. This was like one of the world's first annoying chatbots. Yes, Clippy. He didn't have any AI. It was just that type of interaction. Fun fact, they hated him so much at Microsoft, so when they had a public execution at the office where Clippy had this code that made him say, like, I'm melting, and then he disappeared. And I think that's kind of unfair. He didn't deserve that. But I'm not saying that chatbots aren't going to be good for anything. I mean, if it's the right kind of interface, it's the right kind of interface. So, like this service is like a robo-lawyer. It's really cool. A Stanford graduate who did. It's like helping homeless people apply for aid or contest like unfair parking tickets. And now it's helping asylum seekers in the UK and US to apply for asylum. And in this context, it makes perfect sense to have a conversation with the lawyer, right? And then he writes the papers for you and helps you with the application. Customer support is another good kind of application of chatbots. But you have to watch out with, I'm really curious to hear Kostya's talk later this afternoon to see how they battle it. But with customer support, often you will have bots and humans and like a seamless transition. So if it's a difficult errand, then you kind of shift it over to the human. And I thought that made sense, you know, it's kind of a good divide. But then this summer, my mother-in-law, Lena, who's often very frustrated by technology, and she spends a lot of time in customer support. She was chatting with Telia about Wi-Fi, it didn't work. And all of a sudden she exclaimed, like, I don't even know if I'm talking to a machine or a person. And she doesn't know anything about chatbots or AI, so I was like surprised to hear her say that. But even she has been picking up that it's like something is off, it's not really working. And that seamlessness, it's something that we've been trained to do as designers, and we have to kind of reevaluate that with AI. Seamlessness is not always going to be good when you have machine learning in the background. And the biggest reason for that is the biggest difference between AI and normal interfaces is that it's unpredictable. So we don't know what's going to happen. The computer is learning and adapting and seeing patterns that we can't imagine. So we kind of have to assume that we don't know what the decision is going to be or what the experience is going to be. And the most famous example, I guess some of you know about this, Ty, Microsoft's Twitter bots. Started off as a very cheery millennial, stoked to meet you, became like mildly entertaining, went over kind of passive-aggressive, doesn't really feel right, to like a straight-up racist monster. And this is like one of the mild ones. I was like, there's a lot of stuff that I can't show on stage. And this was within 24 hours. Microsoft did not see that coming. It was unpredictable. So when you're working with like algorithms based on deep learning in the background, I think like Kayak is doing it really well. It's like this simple kind of thing when they do price prediction, is that they show you it's a likelihood, this is a model, it's not rocket science. They just tell you that they don't know. This is a model, this is pattern recognition, predictive analysis. It's kind of a nice way to do it. Another example is Watson that we worked on last year with IBM. Working with cancer patients, and a really important thing to think about all the time was like never let Watson make the decisions. Always give the decision to the doctor, but provide as much information as you can. Help them make a better decision, but don't make it for you. So don't be seamless in the background. And now we're moving into some more like serious issues. So we're talking about patients' journals, we're talking about sickness. And this brings me to my last and most important point. So this is going to be a lot of power at our fingertips. When we have access to all of this big data, we have tech powered by artificial intelligence. And it's going to be so tempting to use it. Just because you could doesn't mean you should. And I know it's a big ask, because at Doberman, like already we're in the situations where, like, oh, it's such a cool feature. Imagine we could do this and that. Then it's like, ooh, wait a minute, what are we actually doing to people's integrity, to their focus, to their attention? Are we letting people go from their work. And these are things that we kind of have to start thinking about. Are we just going to add more noise? It's such a powerful tool. And I'm just going to show you a little clip from a film called Hyperreality by Kiichi Matsuda, more as food for thought.
Great! Nice! Great!
Vas tarde. Apúrate si quieres una buena calificación.
Voy lo más rápido que puedo.
¿Has pensado en correr? Es saludable y eficiente.
Seguro.
Chao.
Estoy presente ahora.
So, I mean, obviously, this is like a dystopia almost and a provocation. But if you look at the elements, it's not that far off from where we're kind of heading. It's like the gamification of everything, the attention economy, notifications, layers of information on everything. And I know this is not the future that I signed up for, at least. So think about kind of where, gamification of everything. So whatever you decide where you want to take the future or however you think it's going to play out, it's going to come at us really fast. So if you look at human progress, this is from Wait But Why, this model, it's like, progress is moving exponentially. So if this is present day, we can't look at the past 10 years, like since the iPhone, and assume that's the way things are going to go. We can't even look at the crazy speed that things are happening at today. It's going to be faster. It's going to be exponential. It's going to hit us like that. And like the cool, scary, beautiful part of this is that this part, that's up to us. We can help shape what happens. And I've proposed 5 things to think about when you design for AI. You don't have to agree with them. I would love for you to disagree. Come see me. I want to talk about this. But one thing I want to ask of you is to not just go along for the rides. Don't just tag along. Because this is going to be big, and it's going to change the world. It's going to change people's lives. So whatever you do, like, go home, think about it. What do you want to do with it? Write principles, write manifestos, for God's sake. And decide where you want to take it. Because if we have intent and purpose, then we can help shape the future together and create the Matildas that we want. Thank you.